Report story. Hey guys, this is Anime Fan 299,110 with another chapter of Family Matters. So, as per usual, I do not own Boku no Hero Academia, its characters, or its locations. They are all owned by Kohei Horikoshi, Jump Comics, and Funimation. Now, here is the newest chapter of Family Matters. Meteorologists are absolutely stunned by the intense heat wave hitting Japan today. While it is not unusual for hot weather to come in March, it does raise some questions as to how long this heat will last. City officials in Tokyo are encouraging citizens to find ways to stay cool or avoid going outside. Click. As if someone would be frickin' stupid enough to be outside, Bakugo said through gritted teeth. The rest of Class 1A nodded in agreement, they could do without this oppressive heat. Classes were tougher to get through with the teachers having to talk over the fans they had set up. The humidity was so bad that the students were required to have mandatory water breaks in order to stay hydrated. They even had their training sessions indoors. Today, Class 1A was sitting in the living room of Alliance Heights with 5 fans blowing at their faces. The fans, however, were not enough to subdue the oppressive humidity that leaked through the windows via sunlight. Why did it have to be so hot today? Mina whined before wiping the sweat off her forehead. I feel like a fried egg. And now I'm hungry. Kaminari stated while Jiro pinched the bridge of her nose at her classmate's randomness. Let's hope this wouldn't be the same for the summer. Uraraka said before directing her attention to the little girl sitting in front of a fan. How are you holding up, Eri? Said girl only responded with a thumbs up. Why does she get a fan for herself? Mineta whined as he splayed himself out on one of the armrests. Some of us are dying here, and she's not even breaking a sweat. Well, Mineta, Iida began, children are less able to regulate their body temperature compared with adults. Therefore, not keeping a child cool could lead to dehydration and other heat-related illnesses. And unlike you, she's not expendable. Bakugo snapped, causing the class pervert to flinch. It was at that moment that Ida's phone rang. He stood up and entered the other room before answering it. A few minutes later, he returned with a content smile on his face. I have good news, he said, getting the class. Attention, Mr. Aizawa has informed us that we are allowed to use the school pool for the day in order to stay cool. Woo! The rest of Class 1A cheered with excitement. Most of them immediately ran upstairs to get towels and sunscreen, leaving Uraraka, Midoriya, and a confused Eri in the living room. What do you say, Eri? Midoriya asked. Want to swim in the pool? Swim? Eri asked curiously. Midoriya and Uraraka looked at each other. They had forgotten that she might not have been taught how to swim before she was kept prisoner by Overhaul. Then again, it could be the perfect opportunity to teach her. It's basically playing around in a large bathtub, sweetie, Ochako explained, and it'll help keep you cool. Really? Eri asked, her eyes and mouth widening with excitement. Okay, she shouted as she raced upstairs to get ready. Ready. After a quick dash to the main campus, the boys and girls went to their respective locker rooms to get changed. Once they were all set, the boys stepped out and waited for the girls to come. When they arrived, Kaminari was still disappointed that they wore the knee-length swimsuits, though Mineta still gave a perverted thumbs up upon seeing them. Promoted stories. You'll also like Todo Momo. After the rainfall 195K 4.1K, the storm only continues raging on, rain descending heavily from above, and Momo and Shoto are in the center of it all. Will they be able to find their way into love too? Quirkless Police O complete 75.7K 1.7K. This was my first fanfic. It's shitty, be careful. Izuku Midoriya. Quirkless police officer. After his interaction with All Might, he gave up on being a hero. He decided. Unlikely pairing 36.2K1K2. Heroes with opposite personalities find that they're more similar than they think. Through their history, they discover a love and trust for each other which no one. My Hero Academia. From the ground up 81.1K 1.8K alternate. Universe where Izuku Midoriya and Ochako Uraraka grew up together. Got to fourth in the childhood friends tag. Small Bunny, Big Bounce 337K 8.2K Izuku. Midoriya is the son of single mother and very successful Inko Midoriya. With Inko being a bunny model, Izuku grew up with that girly twist. At the age of 14, Inko Re. My chat fic Academia 78K 1.1K watts. Up my crackhead so title says it all, there's going to be ships in here so. Buckle up bitches, my ships. Todo Momo, Kiri Baku, Kami Jiro, Toko Suyu, Iida Mei. I am here for you, Izuocha 251K 4.7K characters. And settings all owned and created by Kohei Horikoshi. This is a non-profit fanfiction edited by Nimish Wenkade and Kaori 112 Arc 1. Ochako is worried Abu. The opening of the girls' locker room door caused everyone to turn to see Uraraka enter the area with Eri. The little girl was wearing a smaller version of the school swimsuit along with water wings on her upper arms. Her hair was also fashioned into a ponytail to keep it out of her eyes. The other girls swarmed her and doted on Eri's appearance, and she responded with a bright smile. Excellent, Iida said. Now that everyone is here, I suggest we try some exercises. We should always be up to date on our swimming techniques should a hero situation ever arise. Last one in is a rotten egg. Mineta cried out before cannonballing into the deep end, with Kaminari and Kirishima following suit. Soon, most of Class 1A joined in on the fun, splashing around and horse-playing to their heart's content. Uraraka couldn't help but giggle a bit as she saw Iida trying to maintain order amongst his peers, but to no avail. Uraraka, Hagakure called out, "We're going to play volleyball. Want to join?" Can't, Uraraka said. Deku and I promised Eri we'd teach her how to swim. She then took Eri's hand and led her to the side of the pool. Midoriya, meanwhile, had gotten into the pool and stood in the shallow end near the edge. Okay Eri, he said, we're going to start with you getting used to the water. Walk close to the edge of the pool and jump, I'll catch you. Eri walked over to the edge of the pool and froze as she looked down at the water. It looked so deep despite it being only 3 feet deep. She hid behind Uraraka's legs and shook in fear. It's okay, Eri, Uraraka said, kneeling down in front of the girl. The water's only 3 feet deep and you're about 4 feet tall. Besides, Izuku will catch you. You have nothing to worry about. Eri gulped as she moved back to the edge of the pool. She then closed her eyes and leapt forward, her feet skimming the surface of the water. She felt Midoriya's arms wrap around her as she hugged him like her life depended on it. "It's okay, Eri. I've got you," he said while Uraraka stepped into the water to join them. He then placed his hands underneath her arms and detached her from his body. "Now," he continued, "I'm going to slowly lower you into the water just so you can get used to it. I promise I wouldn't let go, okay?" He waited for Eri to nod before he began to lower her. He slowed down a little when he heard a little moan of fear coming from her. After a few seconds, Midoriya saw her feet touching the bottom. "Okay, Eri, you can open your eyes." Eri opened her eyes slowly to see that her head was just above the surface of the water. She felt a sense of tranquility knowing that she wasn't going to drown, though it might also be the fact that Papa had a hold on her and wouldn't let go. The water felt incredibly cool and refreshing. Mama was right, it was like being in a giant bathtub. Satisfied that Eri was now comfortable, Izuku said, "Okay, now we're going to start with staying afloat. Start by kicking your legs back and forth in the water." "Oh, okay," Eri said, still sounding a bit nervous. She closed her eyes before kicking her feet rapidly in the water. As she continued, she felt Midoriya's hands leave hers, causing her to move her arms back and forth as well. She opened her eyes and they widened as she saw herself staying afloat without any support. "Papa!" she exclaimed in excitement. "Papa, I'm doing it. Great job, sweetie." Uraraka said with a smile. She then brought over a board made of EVA foam. "This is a kickboard. We're going to try kicking in order to swim. First, grab the end of the board with your hands." She waited as Eri took a hold of it before lifting her up so that the back of her body was out past the water's surface. "Now, start kicking." Eri nodded and started kicking her feet rapidly. She slowly began to move across the water, Uraraka's hands still holding onto her. Uraraka then turned her body so that she remained in the shallow section of the pool. Eri's smile grew as she moved across the water with ease. The two of them did a lap around the shallow end before stopping by Midoriya. "Will I always have to use this to swim?" Eri asked, looking at the kickboard. "Only for a little while," Midoriya said. "But if you practice enough times, you'll be able to swim on your own. Want to have another go around the shallow end?" Eri nodded, to which he smiled. "Uraraka, heads up." Toru's call caused Uraraka to turn just in time to see the volleyball heading right toward her. The ball connected with her back, causing her to fall forward into Midoriya. "Uraraka, are you okay?" he asked with concern. "Yeah, I'm fine," Uraraka said reassuringly. "Thanks for being there, Deku." It was then that they both realized how close they were to each other. Even though she was covered, Midoriya could feel her curves through the fabric of her swimsuit. Uraraka was no better. She blushed at her fingers touching Midoriya's bare chest, feeling every scar and muscle. They then leapt apart from each other, flustered beyond belief. "Sorry," they exclaimed as most of their classmates snickered and giggled. "We should probably head back," Iida said over the commotion. "It's almost lunchtime." The others agreed. They had all cooled down significantly and a few were starting to get hungry. One by one, Class 1A exited the pool and grabbed towels to dry off. Midoriya grabbed one and dried Eri's face and hair. The fibers rubbing against her face and neck caused her to giggle, with Izuku smiling at her. Uraraka then took her to the girls' locker room to get changed. dash 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 dot. Shinobu Noshimori stared out the window of his limousine at the ruins of Deka City. It was a little hard to believe that this was once the site of a fierce battle between the Meta Liberation Army and the League of Villains. To be honest, this was the last place and group he wanted to meet. But he had no other choice. Besides, they owed him for all that he had done for them. "We're here, boss," Watanabe said as the limo pulled up to a tall glass building. "So this is where they've been hiding," Noshimori thought before scooting himself into his chair. He was then brought into the building, where he and Watanabe were met by an elderly woman sitting behind a desk. "I'm here for Mr. Shigaraki," Noshimori said. "I'm Shinobu Noshimori of the 8 Precepts of Death." "Of course, sir," the woman said in a sickly sweet voice. "Just take the elevator up to the top floor, and Mr. Shigaraki will meet you." "Candy," she added, holding up a bowl of assorted sweets. Noshimori raised his hand to decline, but Watanabe decided to take one and put it in his coat pocket. Once inside the elevator, Watanabe pressed the last button and they shot straight up. It only took them 30 seconds before they reached the top floor. As the elevator doors opened, the two criminals were met by the rest of the League of Villains. Some were glaring at them, while others were smiling maliciously. Their gaze fell upon a desk near a set of glass windows overlooking the city. The man seated behind the desk had a scar over his lip and there were several scratch marks around his eyes. His red eyes moved to see them and he gave an ever so creepy smile. "Shinobu Noshimori," he said in a raspy voice, "what a pleasure to see you again." "Shigaraki," Noshimori said curtly as he was wheeled forward until his feet touched the desk. "I see things have improved since your downfall in Tokyo." "Indeed," Shigaraki said before turning to see Watanabe unwrap his candy. "I wouldn't do that, the candy is poisoned." He waited to see Watanabe stuff the sweet back into his pocket before turning his attention back to the crime boss. "So, why did you want to see me?" "I've come to ask a favor of you," Noshimori said, his fingers drumming on the armrests of his wheelchair. "As we both know, my associate Kai Chisaki failed to keep my operations going and I lost the key ingredient to making our bullets. In order to make more bullets, we need Eri. Fortunately, I know where she is. She's residing with Izuku Midoriya in one of the dorms at UA. Shigaraki was unamused at the news. "Then why don't you go and get her?" he asked. "I tried," Noshimori said. "I even offered Midoriya and that girl Ochako Uraraka 120 million yen each to give Eri back to me, but those stupid brats refused." He then gestured to Shigaraki. "And that's why I've come to you. I need your help to retrieve my granddaughter and keep her with me." This was a silence that filled the office as Noshimori's proposal set in. Some of the lieutenants were looking at each other, wondering who would make the first move. After a few minutes, Shigaraki finally broke the silence. "Do you really think I would be stupid enough to endanger my troops just so you can get back one stupid little girl?" Noshimori's eyes narrowed. "That little girl is the key to making those bullets you want. And besides," he added as he leaned forward, "after everything my organization and I have done for you and your league, you owe me this." Shigaraki leaned forward over his desk and glared at the Yakuza boss. "Watch what you say, old man," he growled. "Your partnership with us is only because my master wanted your services. Without us, you'd be just like the rest of your pathetic gangs." Noshimori matched his glare. Listen to me well, boy, he snarled. While you were nursing off your mother, I was making a name for myself in Tokyo. The only reason I even show respect to this little group of yours is because I respected your boss. All for one had class, dignity, and showed appreciation and respect. As for you, he paused and sneered, you're just some angsty kid who wanted to play supervillain. The sound of movement caused him to glance around to see the lieutenants moving towards him, some brandishing their weapons. Shigaraki raised his hand, causing them to stop. A tense silence filled the air as the Yakuza boss and All for One's disciple faced off. For a few minutes, nobody moved or made a sound until. You're right, Shigaraki said, lying back into his chair. We do owe you for all that you and your organization have done. We'll help you with kidnapping the kid, as long as you make the bullets. Now, what will you need? Noshimori smiled smugly, feeling as if he had gotten the best of this boy. Good, I'm glad you came to reason. Now, I'll need 150 troops in case some heroes decide to interfere. And I'll need 2 of your lieutenants to make sure they stay in line. Of course, Shigaraki said. And since you've been patient with us, I'll be sure to have 200 additional troops on standby, should anything go south. Now if there's nothing else, I believe that we're done here. Indeed, Noshimori said as Watanabe wheeled his chair back. Thank you for your time, Shigaraki. I'll expect the troops within a few days. As soon as the 2 gang members were gone, Shigaraki's face twisted into a hideous smile. That pathetic old fool. He thinks he can tell me what to do and get away with it. It is a relief to see that you haven't lost your touch, sir. Mr. Compress said. What do you plan to do? I wouldn't worry, Compress. Shigaraki said with a wave of his hand. We'll give the old man what he wants. Once he realizes what I've done to him, I'll make him see that I'm the one he should be obeying. Until then. He pointed toward 2 of his lieutenants. You 2, come here. He waited until they were in front of him before continuing. I've decided to make you 2 the leaders of the troops for this operation. You do as Noshimori tells you until I say otherwise. Is that clear? Yep, one of the lieutenants said excitedly. You can count on us, Shigaraki. And the best part is, she added as she took out one of her knives and ran it against her face, I might get to see Midoriya and Uraraka. Their blood is so tasty. Whatever. The other lieutenant said. I was getting bored already. And who knows? He said with a smirk as blue flames shot from his hand. This might be fun. Dash 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 dot. And with that, another chapter has come to an end. I know that this one is short, but I have been really exhausted and tired lately from just everything that's been going on. Kudos to Mal who beta read and edited this chapter. Also, don't forget to favorite, follow, and comment. Until the next chapter, this is Anime Fan 299,110 encouraging you all to go beyond. Plus, Ultra, where stories live. Discover now.